Previously on The Ultimate Collector.
Hey, this is the Old Console Gamer. Hey, what's going on? Do you have an interview for me? Really? Where at? Pacific Northwest. Oh, John Hancock. Right. John has, close to 250 consoles. How many? Close to 5,000 games? He wants to be on The Ultimate Collector? Now, I know that you have a lot of rare games. I mean, spanning from the 70s all the way up until today. But one of the rare games that I was actually interested in learning more about was actually your game Stadium Events. Now, everybody knows that this game is very popular when it comes to rarity. It's probably a number 10 on the rare scale, and it's worth a decent amount too. But John has a significant story behind this one.
So, I was wrapping up my Nintendo collection, and like many people, you hit a wall. And that wall can be different for everybody. My wall was getting a game that at the time was costing, about $1,200. And that price goes ups and down. I've seen it as much as $1,800 loose. Long story short, I didn't have that amount of money. I didn't even have anywhere near that. So I went to a Classic Gaming Expo 2005 in San Jose. And what they were having was a mystery box auction. So they'd have a big cardboard box with a question mark on it, and you could bid on it. And all proceeds, it was, I do believe, a charity auction. And I had $100 in my pocket, $100 left in my name, $100 that I didn't spend on other Nintendo stuff there. And this was the first time they were doing these mystery boxes, which are now famous. And so, the first mystery box was, I think, some 7,800 stuff, and it wasn't really that great. So a lot of people are like, oh, who knows what's going to be in this. And so I surprisingly won a mystery box for $100. It ended up being a very rare R10 Atari game called Magic Card. It was very sought after from serious Atari collectors. I was privately contacted a short while after I won it, and the trading began. And so this guy offered to buy a Stadium Events off of eBay, throw in a sealed Cheetahman 2,
which we'll get to in just a minute,
a box Q*bert's Cubes for ColecoVision, and probably about 10 other rare Nintendo games just for Magic Card. And I gladly said yes. I actually had another person that wanted to trade me, but this guy offered so much more that who'd be silly to not take that. So,
right.
So I gladly accepted the trade. The gentleman came through with everything he said, and I am now the owner of a Stadium Events, and it cost me $100.
That's unreal, because the last time a Stadium Events was on eBay, that went with like 2 or 3 other games and a Nintendo, it ended up going for like $13,000. So to get a Stadium Event for $100 is absolutely unreal. So now closing in on the Nintendo portion of this interview, Cheetahman's 2. I'm sorry,
it's okay.
Completely sealed. It's still H-seam sealed.
Yeah, the guy threw it in. The cool thing about him throwing it in is I already had one sealed. So I contacted some fellow collectors from Digipress that were helping me out, and the guy offered me a considerable sum for a Cheetahman, and I gladly accepted that. Took that money and completed my Nintendo set, licensed U.S. Nintendo set with money.
Wow.
So that's like I said, it's all about getting good trade stock, and that's obviously the once in a lifetime deal, and I was really happy to get that.
That's absolutely awesome, because there's not too many of those left in the wild, especially sealed.
No, because it technically, the story goes is that the game was technically not officially released in stores. They found a warehouse find, and it was distributed online. And long story short, my first copy I found at a trade show for a whopping $200. And so obviously the price has gone up considerably. People such as the Angry Video Game Nerd, doing a video on it obviously gets people's attention about what the game is and where it came from.
Right, exactly. All right, so moving from Nintendo to Super Nintendo, you have Earthbound.
All right, this is a great story. So the price tag on it says $39.99. Now, I sat and watched this be on a shelf in Anderson, California, at a place called Video Depot for years. And it just sat there. Nobody really asked about it. It just sat there. The guy had another sticker on it that was much higher. Well, lo and behold, I finally asked him about it, and I go, how much is that? He looks at the box and says, oh, well, that's not the price. Takes off the price and says, oh, well, I knew it was like 40 bucks, so I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you for that. And I gladly, it's complete. It's inside, it's got the bag. It's actually near brand new. And so, but I have opened it up, so it's technically not brand new, but it's really good shape for 40 bucks.
Wow. 40 bucks, Super Nintendo. That's awesome. So going from Super Nintendo over to Sega, we have here
the Nomad.
Nomad.
This is one of my Flea Mart scores. Gentleman had it. He said he didn't know if it worked. He didn't have an AC adapter. I gladly said, okay, well, what do you want for it? And the guy says 20 bucks. And picked it up and went home and it worked fine. So
that's a steal.
20 bucks. Has the instruction manual. Not all the bags, but the box is in pretty good shape. Worth 20 bucks.
Yeah, because Nomads are very rare too.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Then going on to the larger console, you have your Sega Genesis here.
Yeah,
one that I really wanted to know about.
Yeah, this is kind of a variant. Like many common systems, Sega Genesis went through several evolutions of packaging and system variations, and so this is one you don't see that often. This is a late released Model 1 that was packaged in with Streets of Rage 2. This is right before the transition to the Genesis Model 2. And so it's pretty interesting. I haven't seen many of these. Gave me a great deal on that. So very, very excited about that. But it's kind of an uncommon version of the Sega Genesis.
Okay, and then we have a handheld console over here, which is a boxed Supervision.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a Craigslist score. An older lady contacted me that her mom had a puzzle game that she played, and she passed away, and she had a Supervision in box, really good shape, with several games. And what's cool is it's pretty hard to get, but it's the Supervision carrying case. Obviously, it was a Game Boy knockoff. Like anything the Game Boy competed against, it got decimated, and was able to get this for with 20 games system carrying case, I think like 60 bucks. It's not necessarily a super awesome mega deal, but finding that in the wild and finding it with some oddity stuff with it, pretty good deal.
How many of those do you think were made? Is it into the thousands? Would you think?
Probably thousands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know specifically, but how many have the box remaining? That's a whole other story.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, then we also have a demo game here that you specifically wanted to show us.
The Nuon Dome. And the Nuon Dome was a forum that supported the Nuon, which was a very short-lived DVD-based game system. Couple people that were in a part of the Atari Jaguar were part of constructing this game system. Long story short, at the end of the system's life, there's only very few games made for it. And one of the late release games was Iron Soldier 3. There were some incompatibility issues. Long story short, it was barely released out the door. Well, on this forum, the creators of the game released several, a couple hundred copies of this rare game, and they put not for resale demo on it, but it's actually the full copy of the game. And I actually put a shout out online. I was looking for this game, and someone gracious on Atari Age says, I have this and I'll sell it to you for a reasonable price. And
Awesome.
3 days later, it was at my desk, and pretty much exactly as
one of your rarest consoles is the White Valley Astrocade, but we decided to actually pull out your complete boxed Telstar arcade.
Yeah. This is another score. I have to say, I scored. This is one of my very rare eBay scores. I got this score on eBay for like $27, and it was boxed, and it had a bunch of it had some of the other games with it, and free shipping.
Shipping.
So it came, and it came fast, and it was it has all the instruction manual and packaging, even the foam triangle that's really missing. But like I said, it's kind of one of my cooler eBay scores. I don't score a lot of stuff on eBay, but every now and then it surprises me, and I did score this off eBay, and I was glad I did. And so I'm still missing a game for the system, but I really like this system. I like collecting Pongs.
Yeah, hobbies that you like to do is put out DVDs on how to collect video games.
Yeah. Like I said, about say half a year ago, I decided that I wanted to show instructional DVDs on how to collect video games, and this is not merely just I'm going to show stuff out of my collection. I break down chapter by chapter how to collect video games of certain time periods. My first DVD, I showcase obscure consoles of the 70s and 80s. I go over and showcase packaging in games of the APF M1000, Valley Astrocade, the Telstar Arcade, Channel F, Odyssey 1 and 2, Vectrex, Microvision, and really do an overview showing in depth how to collect this stuff, pros and cons of weird things about the systems. The second DVD I did is showcasing Nintendo. It's Nintendo home consoles, so NES, Super NES, N64, GameCube, and Virtual Boy. And really go into detail. The first one is about 60 plus minutes. This one's 80 plus minutes. And then the third one is pretty much my Sega. And it's 2 discs. It goes over every US Sega console, including the Laseractive, the Pico, Game Gear, Nomad, Saturn, Dreamcast, 32X, Sega CD, Genesis, and Master System.
Having DVDs like this are actually very important, especially for for the beginning collector, for the novice, and also for the advanced collectors as well too. Because there's all sorts of different levels of collectors here. I mean, obviously this is the ultimate collector. Did you have any other type of advice for any other collectors out there, or?
Yeah, I have several tips for new collectors. One is be patient. Get connected, inform yourself, get connected with friends or either local or online that are passionate about the same things. You'll get better deals. You'll find it much easier if you don't do it alone. 3, just have in your mind kind of what you're looking for. There's so many wonderful video games and systems out there that it doesn't have to be expensive to be fun. Some of my favorite games in this collection can be found at like $1 or $2, and so just really pursue what you're really passionate about. Get connected. There's you don't have to spend a bunch of money to get into the hobby.
The Ultimate Collector. I am the All Console Gamer, and I'm with John Hancock. So John, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me out. And until the next episode, YouTube, enjoy.